You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
OU football's newest commit is pretty freaking good at the game of football, folks.
Just a little bit.
This has long been known if you've been following Jake Krell's high school career at Bishop Moore High School in Orlando, Florida, and then later at IMG Academy. But after committing to Oklahoma on Tuesday, Jake Krell turned around and played the first game of his senior season last night. IMG Academy, down there in Florida, took on another very highly touted, very successful, very well-regarded high school program down there in the Sunshine State. That is the First Academy in Orlando. So IMG and the First Academy squared off last night. And Jake Krell announced his presence with authority, you might say. 3 sacks in the first game of his senior campaign, fresh off his commitment to Oklahoma. And after the game, high school on SI sports writer Jeff Gardenauer caught up on the field with Jake Krell, and here's what he had to say after the strong opening act in his senior year of high school.
Yeah, I was super excited for it. Getting to play back home was awesome. I know all these guys. I train literally at this high school every weekend, so that was a stellar experience. We had a great game defensively. There's a few things that we need to fix that I think we're going to get better at. We need to get less penalties, but overall, I think we had a great game. We had a great showing, and we're just going to build from this.
How do you feel about all your sacks in the first half? I had you for at least 2 or 3 though.
Yeah, I had those 3 in a row. That was super.
3 in a row, yeah.
That was super exciting.
Have you ever done that? 3 in a row?
No, I don't think I have, but that was all credit to our defensive coordinator. He schemed up a certain personnel package for us that worked out perfectly for me, getting me to come free, winning my one-on-one matchups. So it was a group effort. Like I know it was a singular statistic, but I wouldn't have happened if I didn't have the guys around me helping me out with it.
Yeah, lest I forget to mention that reality, Grayson. Jake Krell's 3 sacks came on back-to-back plays.
I was going to say, did he say 3 in a row?
Yes. So there was a point during the game, I believe it was in the first half, at which Jake Krell literally sacked the quarterback on 3 consecutive snaps. Reminds you of anybody?
Should it remind me of somebody?
Yeah, well, think back to OU Tulane last year. Remember who took over that game down the stretch with, I don't know if it was 3 sacks and 3 snaps, but it was something along those lines.
Oh, R. Mason Thomas.
R. Mason Thomas sure did. And Jake Krell earns a lot of R. Mason comps, and those comps are understandable because physically they are similar. They both come from the state of Florida, and they both can just absolutely wreck a football game at a moment's notice. And so as R. Mason Thomas plays his final season of football at the University of Oklahoma in 2025 and gets ready for what will likely be a lengthy career at the NFL level, might it be the case that Jake Krell just becomes your next R. Mason Thomas on literally the ideal timeline? Because you think back to what RMT did when he showed up at Oklahoma. He was on the field getting rotational snaps at defensive end as a true freshman, making an impact for Oklahoma as a true freshman. Jake Krell shows up in 2026, I think he has that ability, but B, I think he's also going to have that opportunity. With Thomas out of the picture, you would expect that it's probably Danny Okoye that is the leader in the clubhouse to be that weak side rush guy for Oklahoma. But Jake Krell, make no mistake, he shows up, he's going to play day one.
Well, keep this in mind, too, Parker. Not only is R. Mason Thomas out of eligibility, so is Marvin Jones Jr. So that's 2 that are going to be gone. No, it is highly, highly possible that Jake Krell earns rotational snaps as a true freshman. And I'll be interested to see how he adjusts quickly to playing meaningful snaps in the SEC. But if you talked about archetypes during the first hour you and I were on back in the 12 o'clock hour. And the archetype is nearly identical to R. Mason Thomas. They're physically undersized as it pertains to what NFL scouts and the traditional scouts like to have. I need to clarify that. They are both undersized by those sorts of metrics, but an incredible motor on both of these guys. And 3 sacks in a row, you know what that tells you? They don't get tired either. So that motor just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And they are both relentless. You can tell Jake Krell is a relentless dude just by looking at him and hearing him talk. So the parallels are everywhere between him and R. Mason Thomas. And he's going to be an exciting guy to watch next year. Not in 2027, not in 2028, next year.
Well, and he'll be an exciting guy to watch throughout his senior campaign at IMG Academy, because you'd think if that first game is any indication, he's going to have the type of year that Jaden Jackson had for IMG back in 2023, where throughout the season everybody's checking in week to week, because that's what people do with a school like IMG Academy. They're playing a national schedule. They're playing the most competitive high schools across the nation, traveling all over the country. And so people are aware of what IMG Academy is doing on Friday nights. And so if this becomes a regular rhythm for Jake Krell, if this is the type of stuff he's doing on a week-to-week basis, then boy, let me tell you, he is somebody that the entire recruiting industry is going to once again come around on, because he slipped in the rankings this year. He has. He was verging on 5-star territory. Now, he is still considered a 5-star prospect by ESPN.
Yes, he is.
But 24/7 and Rivals, they've dinged him in the rankings as of late. Still a highly regarded guy, still firmly planted in blue-chip territory, but not somebody that occupies that 5-star territory as he once did. Or fringe 5-star territory, I guess. He was never officially designated a 5-star on 24/7 Arrivals, but he was right there on the cusp. So when we look back at 2023, and that was the year that David Stone was playing his senior year at IMG, and everybody knew what David Stone was capable of, but it was super interesting at the time and really quite the harbinger of things to come, Grayson, that OU fans would tune in on Fridays to watch IMG for David Stone's sake. And, oh, by the way, they'd get to see another future OU guy line up alongside him in Jaden Jackson, and they knew little about Jaden Jackson comparative to what they knew about David Stone. But by all accounts, the takeaway that seemingly everybody had watching IMG week after week was, man, David Stone's good, but this Jaden Jackson kid, he is way better than anybody gave him credit for. I mean, when he committed to Oklahoma, he was a 3-star dude. Took him a while for him to get his due. But I wonder if it's going to be a similar phenomenon in 2025, where if the folks that aren't necessarily that overjoyed about the addition of Jake Krell because they have questions about his physical makeup and they have questions about how good of a football player he actually is, I wonder if all those same folks that came around on Jaden Jackson in 2023 are going to start to come around on Jake Krell in 2025, especially because he's at IMG. I think he becomes the most watchable commit of Oklahoma's 2026 cycle over the next few months.
Certainly the most high profile to that point. I love this text from the 918. Jake Krell kind of reminds me of a young TJ Watt. Same age Jake is a little further ahead, just saying. And I love that comp. Both of them being white guys aside. Let's toss that aside for a second. The praise that I just gave Jake Krell about his motor, the relentlessness that you can just see on his face when you look at him and when you hear him talk, his bend, a little bit undersized. I think TJ Watt fits all of that. But also, when you just watch Jake Krell's tape and you just watch him play football, the way he rushes and the way he uses fluidity and spin moves and doubling back and whatnot, it does look very eerily similar to TJ Watt. It really does. I love that text out of the 918.
A 580 listener says, it would be cool to see Bigsby take on IMG. Need that. Need it. Because Bigsby, man, whenever they've played an opponent from out of state, it's still been the Bigsby show, right?
Yeah, yeah, it has.
They've dominated. Was it Mansfield Timberview that they went down to Texas to play a couple of years back?
It might have been.
And just shellacked them, man. So, I need that matchup, if only to see just how well coached those dudes actually are. Because the perception with Bixby for so long, and I would argue that to a certain extent it's reality, they're not athletically superior to many of those other strong OK Preps high school football programs, particularly up in Green Country. They just execute better, far better
100%.
than any of them. And so, how far does that take you in a matchup against a roster of nationally coveted recruits, like the roster that IMG rolls out there on a weekly basis? I would love to see Bixby play IMG. I would absolutely love it. And frankly, I would have no beef with the result. If IMG won by 50, be like, okay, I'm not any less impressed by Bixby. But if Bixby hung with IMG or he even won that football game, boy, I feel like that would help OK Preps and especially Bixby cultivate a lot more national respect at that point.
Yeah, no doubt. Spartan Sooner says, I love my Spartans and are getting better, but I don't know if they're ready for IMG. And that was my thought. It would be fun, but would it though? IMG's a different beast, man.
Hey, Loco Ohio checked in on the text line. We haven't heard from him in forever. I thought he abandoned us. I thought he jumped back on the Ohio State bandwagon when they were in the midst of that national title push last year. But he checked back in and said, hey, guys, just wanting to check in and hope for nothing but the best for the Sooners this year. I was born in the Buckeye State, but raised in the Sooner State, so I have love for both my Buckeyes and my Sooners. I'm not surprised at the ruling, but also as an Ohio State fan, I definitely am not happy about it. As always, go Bucks and Boomer. I think he's referring, of course, to the Michigan verdict that was levied today. But good to hear from you, Loco Ohio. Certainly good to hear from you. I guess it's kind of nice to be able to claim fandom of Ohio State and Oklahoma, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel okay, but okay. Let's talk about this. Can you claim fandom of two blue bloods?
Apparently, Local Ohio can. I mean, born in the Buckeye State, raised in the Sooner State, it makes sense. I don't know if I would be comfortable claiming fandom of both, but at least he has reason to.
That's like if I
at least it's not.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
That's like if I, as a Yankees fan, decided that my second team I'm going to root for was the Dodgers.
That is the only team that I root for.
I know it is.
Kind of sucks sometimes, honestly. I like the Dodgers, but, man, it kind of sucks to be a fan of the team that just buys everybody. You know? Is that what it's like to be an A&M fan? Is that what it was like to be an A&M fan back when they were buying everybody in the 2022 recruiting cycle?
Well, that never translated to much wins.
Yeah, I guess. It's easier to maintain your self-respect when your program never actually does anything with the talent that they accumulate. Reformed Homer says, a lot of people in the area think Bixby is the IMG of the area because of how many transfers come in each year. I don't know how the sausage gets made up there in the 918 transfer portal enough to either validate or dismiss that.
No, that's a valid.
I do know the 918. I do know the 918 transfer portal is alive and well for all the big schools in particular. You pay attention, you come to realize very quickly that is the reality. Gregor Muskogee says, no, that does not make sense being a fan of both teams. That's a very good analogy, Greg. I'm hesitant to read it on the air because it is a little grotesque, but very good analogy.
Well
Gator
done.
says,
well done.
Dad born in Norman, undergrad OU, grad school Michigan, not ever a problem even when head-to-head. Boomer Sooner and hashtag Spike was safe. So there you go. Gator did grad school at the University of Michigan, and he doesn't claim Michigan.
Here's the only caveat to what I said, because I don't think you can be a fan of two blue bloods unless you gave both of those blue bloods your money for education. I will allow it.
A 214 listener says, I'm an LSU alum, but a lifelong Sooners fanatic. We do exist. That's impressive. Like, to go to school for 4 years and get your degree for an institution and for it not to affect your fandom at all, I respect you for that. I would not have faulted you if you'd hopped off the OU bandwagon and become an LSU fan. But we're glad to have you around. Chris from Knoxville says, according to On3's high school rankings, they have Bigsby at 34th in the nation and IMG at 6th. So do with that as you will. Spartan Sooner says, Jenks and Union started that in the early 2000s with transfers. Also check the transfers to Owasso last year and the transfers BA got this year with their new coach. It goes everywhere. They hate us because they ain't us. Yeah, and I mean that kind of has been the reality in recent years up in the 918 is guys transfer in and out of all of those big schools. Union, Jenks, Owasso, Bigsby, Broken Arrow, and the like. Those 5 especially, though.
Hey, Park, let's get this question in real fast. Rick in Fort Smith says, suggestion for you guys. Could you guys have a segment to recommend what high school games / players that your listeners might want to go watch and to go watch play? I will tell you this. KREFSports.tv. We have a high school streaming site where you can see players like Mason James is going to be available. Whoever's at Norman, you'll be able to see. We do cover Bixby, so you'll be able to watch them every Friday night as well.
Yes, KREFSports.tv, that's who you're going to want to be tapped in with locally for coverage of all the OK Preps high school programs. Now, that promo would hit a lot harder if Oklahoma had any in-state commits right now in the 2026 cycle, which they do not.
This is true.
But, yes, locally, if there's a guy you want to watch, let's say a guy in the 2027 class, for instance, that isn't committed anywhere yet, but that Oklahoma has offered and is pursuing, for instance, I don't know, Ben Kolar at Norman North or Gabriel Osborne up at Mustang, for instance. Odds are you're going to be able to tune into many, if not all, of their games throughout the season via KREFSports.tv. Keep hitting us up on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439. Could Oklahoma be on the verge of landing another big-time defensive recruit? We'll dive into that and more coming up next here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
We all play a role in keeping our communities safe. Oklahoma is no stranger to attacks. It's now easier than ever. If you see something, say something. The free and anonymous Protect OK app allows instant reporting of suspicious activity, both in schools and the community. You can help keep your family and friends safe.
Protect OK.
Protect OK.
Protect OK.
Protect OK.
Download the Protect OK app today in the Apple App or Google Play stores. Funded by the Oklahoma Office of Homeland Security.
After a car crash, life can be hard. You're hurt, stressed, and then, when you need help the most, the insurance company doesn't care.
They drag their feet, question your injuries, and make things difficult. They put profits over people.
At McIntyre Law, we level the playing field. We take on the billion-dollar insurance companies so you can focus on what matters, getting your life back. Call us at 405-777-7000. You deserve better.
Back to school means back to your favorite casino. And Riverwind Jackpots are back in session. Win with a spin on all your favorite electronic games.
Take your hand to the next level in our premier poker room.
Keep the good times rolling every Friday in August with your wild card. And play for your share of the $200,000 Under Neon birthday giveaway.
And celebrate 19 years with the best food, drinks, and service in the metro.
Only at Riverwind Casino.
The City of Norman encourages you to shop small this summer. What better place to eat, shop, and play local than historic Main Street in downtown Norman? With over 65 years of experience, Mr. Robert Fine Furniture and Design stands for quality. Family owned in the heart of Norman, their exquisite showroom is filled with unique items from around the globe. The historic Sooner Theater is a summer staple and a must-see downtown. See great local theater, concerts, or attend performing arts classes. Find upcoming events and tickets at SoonerTheater.org. Visit Oklahoma's premier art gallery specializing in Native American, Oklahoman, and Western art. Find original art, pottery, jewelry, made in Oklahoma products, and so much more at Tribes Gallery on Main Street in the heart of Norman. Join the City of Norman and keep it local this summer when you eat, shop, and play in downtown Norman.
It's more than a golf tournament. It's a chance to change lives. The St. Jude Oklahoma Golf Classic, presented by Bob Moore Infinity, is coming to Oklahoma City on October 20th. Tee off with us and support groundbreaking research and care for kids fighting cancer, where families never receive a bill. Spots are limited. Don't wait. Visit stjude.org/OKGolfClassic to sign up or become a sponsor. Whether you're swinging a club or sponsoring a hole, you're making a difference. Sign up now at stjude.org/OKGolfClassic.
Whether you're celebrating a special occasion, desire a great postgame, or after-work dining experience, the Ranch Steakhouse is the winning choice. At Ranch Steakhouse, we're grilling up the best USDA prime steaks in Oklahoma. Juicy, flavorful, and cooked to perfection. Pair that with an unbeatable atmosphere, a killer drink selection, and a wine list of over 400 personally curated bottles. Whether you're toasting the game or winding down after a big day, Ranch Steakhouse is where champions eat.
You say you'd never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, know it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Video just popped up on my Twitter timeline here, and it's LSU freshman cornerback DJ Pickett, who is 6'5", Grayson, a 6'5" dude playing cornerback. And it's a Dove Kleiman tweet, so I don't know if this has been fact-checked or not.
Yeah, you
but
might
in the
want
tweet
to
it
look
says
at that.
he's the tallest cornerback on record in college football history. That I don't know if that there has to have been another 6'5" cornerback somewhere.
Well, how tall
right?
was Richard Sherman?
Richard Sherman was what, 6'3"?
No,
he was tall. He wasn't that tall.
Okay, I thought he was like 6'4", 6'5" in that neighborhood.
Yeah, no, and I just double checked. Richard Sherman was listed at 6'3" during his NFL days. So, yeah, man, it made me think back though to the era where tall, rangy cornerbacks were all the rage for Alex Grinch and Speed D. Y'all, I know y'all remember this, right? Like, man, the guy that comes to mind immediately, and he's still playing college football somehow, is Joshua Eaton. Y'all remember Joshua Eaton? Joshua Eaton has lost 3 inches over the years. I'm pretty sure he was listed at 6'4" coming out of high school. If it wasn't 6'4", it was 6'3". He was tall, or at least he claimed to be tall. And now on Michigan State's roster, ahead of the 2025 season, he is listed at 6'1", 189 pounds.
Huh?
But, man, there was a minute there. There's a minute there where Joshua Eaton and several of his contemporaries in Oklahoma secondary, like that was the thing for Alex Grinch, was we're going to go recruit huge defensive backs. Jordan Mukes was another guy that lost, and he played safety, not cornerback, but he lost 3 inches the minute that he enrolled at Oklahoma. He was listed at 6'4" on his recruiting profile at 24/7 Sports. Then he showed up and measured in at 6'1" as a true freshman. So 6'5", and like DJ Pickett is a legit 6'5", no doubt. But man, how often do you see a cornerback that large? Oklahoma, who's their tallest corner? It's got to be Jacoby Johnson, right? And Jacoby Johnson's a big corner. He's 6'2", 6'3". What's he listed at? I think that's fluctuated the last couple of years.
And he looks like a big corner too.
6'5". That's a guy I'll look forward to watching on Saturdays this fall. I don't even have a mental picture of what a 6'5" corner actually looks like. That's like Jaden Gibson out there playing cornerback. Now, to the subject matter that I wanted to cover this segment, Grayson. Oklahoma.
Well, I guess we won't know right now what Parker Thune's subject matter was that he wanted to get to, because Parker just decided to go. Poppy Chulo, why do y'all do this, man? Bobby Chulo, Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line says, Buki says not so fast. Y'all, can y'all stop with this dude? Y'all with Buki, man, is hilarious. I did want to touch on this though. And I'm going to continue to call myself the flag bearer of the 2026 class. I'm just going to continue to call myself that. Because I feel like in conjunction with Parker, I've been one of the ones that has been trying to tell everybody to chill out on the 3-star U part of this class. And that has gone hand in hand with the question being asked of how many games does Brent Venables have to win to keep his job. And there's a reason I'm tying these two together. Because we are now coming into flip season where a lot of the time during the commit season, we have highlighted that Oklahoma has finished second. Now, there are some dudes that Oklahoma has finished second for that they are not going to flip, regardless of how good the team is. But there are guys that they could. And I'll tell you what I don't think. I don't think Oklahoma has to win 10 games to do so. I think they got to keep the staff. And that to me is why the optimal number here is 8. The optimal number here is 8. Because I think 8 wins in the regular year returns the staff. And if there's one thing we know about this staff, it is that they are hyper-relational. Hyper-relational. Parents love Oklahoma. Parents love Brent Venables. They love the guys coaching underneath Brent Venables. And if you can make sure you keep that, to me, the number 8 in terms of wins says not only have we stabilized, but we're going to be a player. But also it means all the guys that you built relationships with and you grew fond of, but you didn't choose us immediately because you didn't know if we were going to be around, that keeps us around. So when you're a forward looker, and yes, I know Parker's back. I hear Riverwind in my ear. But when you look forward, I'm still going to continue to say this. 2026 class, I think it still has potential to be pretty good. Top 10, I don't know. Top 15, I think it's still out there. Parker, I have no idea where you were going to go with this segment, so I just pull off my thoughts that I have driving into the studio today when things like this happen. Oh, man. But
where did you lose me?
Where
did you lose me?
I lost you as soon as you said to get into the subject matter of the episode of this segment, and then you dropped.
Oh no! I mean, well, at least that was kind of an opportune juncture to pivot the conversation, if that's what you had to do. But man, so I had this whole blurb about Tank Carrington, and no one will ever hear it. Well, that's not true because I guess I'm gonna say the whole blurb again because what else can you do?
Did you keep talking again?
Yes, I kept talking, man. Like, there's no audible cue that the connection drops, so you have to look down at this tiny little screen on the tie line, and if you're not looking down at it, you would not know you're disconnected. So, yeah, I just kept talking about Tank Carrington. I figured, man, I was setting you up. I was throwing you the alley-oop pass, man. I was setting up this launch pad for you to take the conversation over with some analysis of the Tank Carrington take. And then I looked down and I realized, well, I am once again disconnected. Highly anticlimactic.
Matt from Greenwood said, it sounded like an alien ship just picked Parker up. That is what it sounds like when you drop.
It does it really?
Yes, it does.
Man, I'm gonna have to complain to TJ Perry and Drake Dykin about this tie line. Because that's 3 times I've dropped today? Out of nowhere for no reason whatsoever?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to run this up the chain. But so I was diving into this whole spiel about Tank Carrington because as it stands right now, Grayson, a decision from Tank Carrington is not terribly far off. We should know something very soon. And what we should know is that he's committing to the University of Oklahoma because this looks really good for the Sooners. And, of course, he decommitted from Florida State yesterday, talking about the 3-star defensive lineman from Crean Lutheran High School in Irvine, California. He's listed at 6'2", 257. And so one of the major talking points amongst OU fans since it became apparent that this is the direction things were headed for Tank Carrington yesterday is, man, can this guy at that size, with that frame, play defensive tackle in the SEC? And the answer right now, Grayson, is no. Like, you can't play defensive tackle in the SEC at 255 pounds. But fortunately, Tank Carrington doesn't have to play SEC football in 2025. If indeed he commits to Oklahoma, his first season with the program will be 2026. And so it kind of becomes a matter of how much weight can you pack on a guy in the span of a year while also maintaining the quickness and the twitch with which he plays to be able to position him as a potential year one contributor. But frankly, I don't know if that's even going to be the expectation for Tank Carrington with where he's at right now. I would think it more likely that he is afforded the luxury of redshirting in that Oklahoma defensive tackle room, because it should be a deep one at that point. You're going to have David Stone back. You're going to have Jaden Jackson back. Nigel Smith will still be around. Marcus Strong will still be around. You will have Trent Wilson prominently in the mix. Ricky Lolohea is there on the roster as well. And so add that to the fact that Oklahoma holds a firm commitment from Brian Harris, the outstanding defensive tackle from Jacksonville, and they're on track right now, barring any disruptions, to land a commitment from T-Ron Richardson, the defensive tackle from Hopewell, Virginia. I guess the way you can look at this, the way that it makes sense on paper, is you have the freedom and the flexibility to take a little bit of a calculated risk with a guy like Tank Carrington, and that seems to be the direction that Jim Nagy and this Oklahoma staff is going.
Tank Carrington should be afforded a red shirt. Absolutely. And the reason being is because he may not come in weighing enough to be able to contribute. Also, the fact, I do think that he needs to get a little bit stronger to be able to hold up on the interior at the line of scrimmage in the SEC. So a red shirt, I think, would do Tank Carrington some good. By the way, that's not a slight at Tank Carrington, because this is just a natural method of progression with a lot of college players. And I think sometimes we see guys like a Jeremiah Smith or others who shine as true freshmen and think, wait, why don't everybody do that? Like, that's not normal. That they are the outlier with that. But Tank Carrington, to me, especially with how fast this came together, Tank Carrington, to me, underscores what I was talking about while you were getting reconnected, Parker, is that this Oklahoma coaching staff, if they have nailed nothing else, they have nailed the relation part of recruiting. And seeing how fast this is coming together after his decommitment from Florida State says that relationship has been maintained, and they were ready to strike once the opportunity presented itself, which I think can snowball into flip season being a very, very lucrative one for Oklahoma fans if they are able to win games and display to everybody else that the staff is still going to be in tow come 2026. So you already like us. We know that. You already like us. You like what we're about. And now we just have to prove to you that we're still going to be here to be the ones developing you. As soon as they do that, as soon as they prove that, I think the flips are going to come, because it is very, very apparent and has been objectively obvious that they build excellent relationships with people.
I'm going to read you my good buddy Greg Biggins' evaluation of Tank Carrington. Greg Biggins covers the West Coast for 24/7 as a national recruiting analyst. He writes this about Tank. Really flashed on tape, showing rare combination of quickness and power. Had a chance to see him multiple times this offseason, and he's a well-built 6'2", 255 pounds with close to an 80-inch wingspan. He's a naturally strong kid with a quick first step and can beat an opposing lineman right off the snap. Can bully and ragdoll tackles and guards at the high school level and lives in the backfield. Plays inside and outside, but we like him as an interior defensive lineman at the college level. Can win at the line right now with raw physical gifts, but will need to develop some counters and continue to refine technique to really take his game to another level. Has a high ceiling, and it's easy to see why he's been a national recruit since he was just a freshman. Now, the nomadic nature of Tank Carrington's high school career has also been a turnoff to some OU fans, and admittedly, it is a little bit bizarre. He played his freshman year at St. Francis Academy in Baltimore. He played his sophomore year at Raven Gap High School in Georgia. He played his junior year at Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas, DeMarco Murray's alma mater, if I'm not mistaken. And he's going to play his senior year at Crean Lutheran in Irvine, California. So he has been quite literally all over the map. But it appears as though home base for him, provided current trends hold, will be the University of Oklahoma. And we talked about this yesterday, Grayson, but I'll reiterate it because I know not everybody was listening yesterday. With Braden Allen, the three-star wide receiver commit from Tulane that Oklahoma is currently efforting to flip, if you're going to bet on a three-star wide receiver hitting big for your football program, you can do a lot worse than betting on a receiver from the state of Louisiana, because many a talented wide receiver, even lightly recruited ones, come out of the boot over the years. Mm-hmm. Similarly, if you're going to bet on a three-star defensive lineman hitting it big for your program, you can do a lot worse than banking on a wrestler. And that's what Tank Carrington is. Yes, he's a good football player. He's also a really good wrestler.
Yeah, that'll play. I mean, especially when you're talking about, and by the way, a dude with an 80-inch wingspan too, and really good use of hands, because that's what a wrestler has, is really good use of your hands and good technique, and that tells me he's a technically sound person, which, by the way, he is, and you can see watching on his tape. So that combined with an 80-inch reach, he's going to be a good player. I think he's going to need some polishing in his freshman year, which, again, isn't a negative on the guy. He's just going to need that little bit of polishing, get the physical to catch up with everything, so you're ready to do it at the SEC level. But once he is, dude could be a real problem in 2020. What would it be, 2028, 2027 at that point? He could be a problem.
405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. We got a bunch of excellent texts this segment that I want to dig into next. So that's where we'll kick off our final segment of Locked In. Coming up next here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Stay right here.
The word is spreading, and the Ref Army is growing. Keep telling your friends and family that there's only one station for true Sooner fans, and that's the Ref Radio Sports Network, and worldwide on the KREF app.
Hi Norman, it's DJ Newsom with Alliance Bank, your community-driven, friendly neighborhood bank. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur, lead a nonprofit organization, or just someone seeking a better banking experience, we've got you covered. From business to personal banking, we tailor our services to suit everyone's needs. We believe in making banking easy and enjoyable. Visit our Norman location or call us today at 405-286-5750. Alliance Bank, banking tailored to your needs. Member FDIC.
For 3 generations, the John M. Ireland & Son Funeral Home and Chapel in Morris continued to serve the community by giving back to local schools, charitable organizations, and first responders.
We provide pre-planning for funerals and cremation services at the most reasonable prices.
We are proud to be a family-owned and operated funeral home.
Award-winning funeral home year after year, our family believes in serving the people of our community.
I'm John Ireland.
And I'm Solon Daniels.
You've got our word on it.
Hi, folks. This is Larry Knippelmeyer here at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, USA. Conveniently located just 15 minutes south of Oklahoma City and 10 minutes west of Norman. With all the talk of inflation, market crashes, and tariffs, it's no wonder we're all afraid to make that new vehicle purchase. Now, with that being said, there will probably never be a better time to purchase your new Chevrolet at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet. No price increase or tariffs on our huge selection of in-stock vehicles. Pickups, SUVs, cars, and even Corvettes, all marked down and ready to sell. Interest rates are good, used vehicle trade-ins are high, and rebates and incentives are back on most new Chevrolets. So hop in that old vehicle and come see us at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, where nobody beats our deal. or give us a call at 405-485-3333 or catch us on the web at knippelmeyer.com. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
The Mont invites you to come by and enjoy our high-quality food and drinks in our historic atmosphere. The Mont has won numerous awards, including Best Restaurant in Norman, Best Appetizer for our great queso, Best Exotic Drink for the original swirl, the Best Patio Dining for our beautifully landscaped patio. Come see the Town Tavern, OU football scoreboards dating back to 1947. We'll see you at the Mont on the corner of Boyd and Classen, or call us at 329-3330.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
No matter where you live, you care about one thing during bad weather: keeping your family and property safe. Scissortail Roofing and Construction is here to ensure just that. Whether it's damage from strong winds or a hailstorm, we will manage your residential or commercial project from start to finish. Call us today, 405-928-8089, or visit us online at scissortailroofing.com for a free estimate. Call Scissortail today, your trusted local roofing and construction company.
Introducing Janiking, the greatest team to ever clean. We take pride in maintaining spotless environments, allowing local businesses to shine better than ever before. With our cutting-edge technology and expert team, we ensure every nook and cranny is pristine at Oklahoma Memorial Stadium. That's right, Janiking is proud to be a partner of OU football and OU athletics. For commercial cleaning services, go to janiking.com. That's JANIKING.com. Janiking, the king of clean, and go Sooners.
I tell you, Grayson, as crazy as recruiting can be sometimes for OU fans, tracking their commits, tracking flip targets, tracking uncommitted guys that are dragging the process out and making everybody wait, sit on pins and needles with regard to their respective decisions. At least you're not dealing with anything like this. Are you ready for this? You ready for me to lay out possibly the most annoying recruitment in the history of recruitments?
Okay,
because
I feel like you say you have a new most annoying recruitment every other week.
No, okay. So, like, to be clear, as far as I am concerned, in a professional, just from a professional standpoint, recruitments I have had to deal with personally, nothing will ever touch the Peyton Bowen recruitment. That was easily the most obnoxious one that I have ever had to cover. I think, objectively speaking, this is the most obnoxious recruitment of all time, and fortunately, I have not had to cover it at all.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
This has to do with four-star linebacker Isaiah Williams.
Oh, I saw this.
He committed to Louisville in November of 2023 as a sophomore in high school. Then he decommitted from Louisville a couple months later and committed to Syracuse. Several more months passed, and he decommitted from Syracuse and committed to Florida State. What followed was a decommitment from the Seminoles and a commitment to the Florida Gators. He then decommitted from Florida and flipped his commitment to Ole Miss. Then this morning, he flipped his commitment once again back to Florida State. He has been committed. Well, he's been committed to 5 different schools. He's been committed on 6 occasions now because this is the second time he's been committed to Florida State. So, to sum that all up, Louisville, then Syracuse, then Florida State, then Florida, then Ole Miss, now back to Florida State. Folks, at least you've never had to deal with a recruitment that is that annoying. Because Oklahoma, Brent Venables and the OU staff, they're not going to get involved with a process like that. That much we know with certainty. But, man, can you imagine being a fan of one of those schools that the kid has committed to at a certain point in the process, or at the very least has pursued throughout the process, at a certain point you just don't even care anymore. Like, where does it end with this dude? You just throw your hands up and say, okay, forget it. Like, don't even care if he signs here or not. And he said this morning upon flipping to Florida State that he was shutting his recruitment down. Those aren't the first time. That's not the first time he said those words either. So, 6 schools as of now. I'm sorry, 5 schools 6 times. Could have commitment number 7 before the end of the cycle. Who the heck knows?
You think that we're ever going to get a minimum age requirement for commitments? Because let's talk about this from a humanities perspective. If a 15 or 16-year-old kid says something, how seriously are you actually going to take it if it involves where he's going to spend the next 4 years or where he intends to spend the next 4 years once he's 18 years old? So if you're taking the word of a 16-year-old that seriously, I've kind of got questions about you before I've got questions about the kid. But I do think, yes, that is highly obnoxious. But also, just because of that, let's just say, hey, no committing before your junior year. No committing before your junior year. Let's just say that. We'll save you a little bit of headache. We'll save your family a lot of headache for trying to make a decision that's way too early. We're going to make you look better to the outside general public in the process by just saying, hey, hold on, take a breath, it's not going anywhere, and then you can commit when you're about 17 years old. I don't see any negative with going about it in that way.
I think Isaiah Williams might be the closest thing to Baby Gronk that I've ever actually seen.
That's
at least
crazy.
As far as the whole verbal commitment crap. Oh man, I mean, I'm fairly certain Baby Gronk has been quote unquote committed at a certain point to all 136 FBS schools, some of them multiple times.
Yeah.
But of course, none of us take that seriously.
I
This
was
is the first kid with
say.
committable offers to this many programs that has been committed to this many programs that I can recall.
I was about to say, if you're taking Baby Gronk seriously, I have even more questions about you.
Lost City Sooner says, he is worse than my wife picking a restaurant. We've all been there, Lost City Sooner. Stay strong. Stay strong, my friend.
1-star.
Okay.
Oh, I was going to get this 1-star Minnesota Sooner in there. He says, not the man you want asking for your daughter's hand in marriage.
Woof. Yep. Got to consider perception, folks. Got to consider perception, and not just in the realm of football. Monster Truck Guy says, I don't think he knows the meaning of the word committed.
No, not really. Hey, on the YouTube chat, because we are on YouTube, by the way, at KREF Sports, Jimmy Cat says, Grayson on a Friday, didn't think I'd see the day. I really have taken the last 3. I have been gone the last 3 Fridays. I'm telling you, that is a summer thing. I will be on every Friday for the remainder of the year, and probably for the remainder of the academic year.
They were calling you the next Teddy Lehman last week.
Oh, I'm
and that
so
was a pejorative, to be clear.
Was that the prevailing narrative while I was gone?
Yes, they were like, dang, Grayson's on that Teddy schedule. Teddy is here running around somewhere.
See,
I wasn't
even going to take last Friday off until my girlfriend approached me with going to Kansas City and hanging out at her parents' house. So I was like, okay, I will do that. But the first 2 Fridays, yeah, I needed those 2 Fridays off.
Tim from Chickasha asks, how is OU sitting with the big offensive tackle out of Fort Gibson? Well, you can always ask that question of Fort Gibson's finest at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. I'm sure he'll have an answer. My answer is OU looks pretty good with Cooper Hackett right now. I mean, they're battling Texas Tech. I think that's pretty well known. It's those two, and it'll probably be those two. I would say those two are at the top of the process for Hackett. I am not completely ruling out other schools, but I think it's pretty well understood that Texas Tech is Oklahoma's primary competition. So he's going to be in town for the Michigan game, September 6th. That is confirmed. That's going to be a huge day of visits. Cooper Hackett will be there. Peyton Houston will be there. There are several other flip targets that will be in attendance for sure. There may be other flip targets that show up in Norman, whether they'll acknowledge it on social media or not that day. So we'll see what comes of that. But that OU-Michigan game, no doubt about it, we've talked about it previously, it's going to be a huge opportunity for the Sooners to impress some of the nation's elite recruits. Gunny of Stutzman Army says, fellas, I'm 43 and still couldn't tell you where I'll be in 4 years. Well, I would tell you, Gunny of Stutzman Army, if that's the case, you apparently have a lot in common with some of these 16, 17-year-olds that are making commitment decisions 4, 5, 6 times. You're in Isaiah Williams. You are in the company of Gunny of Stutzman Army.
Come on over to OU.
If you and Gunny of Stutzman Army are being mentioned in the same sentence, that can either be a very good thing or a very bad thing. There's usually not a middle ground there. It can be interpreted one of two ways, depending on the context. If you have any last-minute text here before we wrap up, hit us up, 405-651-3439. Getting a lot of feedback on the Tank Carrington take. And, look, again, this should go Oklahoma's way. I do expect a decision relatively soon here from the 3-star defensive lineman out of California. And if the Sooners do indeed pick up his commitment, for one thing, they're going to move into the top 20 of the national rankings. So that'll be one less thing for the Boomer Doomers to complain about, Grayson. But at that point, you land Carrington, hopefully gets flip season off to a rollicking start. Wait out T-Ron Richardson on August 26th, and I still feel good about OU in their pursuit of the Hopewell, Virginia defensive tackle. And we'll see where things go from there. Got an eye on Jacob Curry, the Northwestern linebacker commit. Think something could shake there before too long as far as OU's involvement. Outlaw Devil wants to know, is a top 10 recruiting class.
And the aliens got Parker again. We're going to have to figure that out. Hopefully we can get that settled before the rush comes up. Going through the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, I think he was getting through Outlaw Devil's text. Is a top 10 recruiting class still relevant in 2025? Yes, to me, yes, but not as much. It doesn't hold as much weight because, obviously, of the portal and because you can supplement your roster through the portal. So it is still relevant because there is still going to be value to, I don't want to say not drafting and developing, but recruiting, signing, and developing in-house and developing and retaining your own. Because those are the guys who are going to be the flag bearers of your culture. So you're always going to want to have the crux of your team be somebody that you were able to recruit out of high school, instill your culture into, develop them, and then the culture can permeate down from the coaching staff to those players to the rest of the team.
Parker, again.
Parker,
How long did you lose me for?
30 seconds.
Oh, that's not bad at all. Okay. Noticed it quickly this time. That's good. Luke on the text line says, any comment on Booby Feaster exposing Parker? My only comment on the matter was that snippet that Booby posted on Twitter, A, for one thing, was out of context. And B, if it had been taken in its full context, you come to understand I had reported to subscribers at OUinsider.com that it was a possibility, not a certainty, not this is concretely going to happen, but a possibility, based on what I'm hearing, that the Sooners could have Booby Feaster in the building for the OU-Michigan game. Now,
go ahead.
Now, to me, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of things you can infer from that whole engagement, but somebody texted me this in the immediate aftermath of Booby's tweet last night. They said, yeah, this is not true, but I went out of my way to get something from behind a paywall to ensure everyone knew it wasn't true. I have no further comment on the matter. What will happen will happen. I made it very clear in the article that everything was far from settled. Apparently that wasn't good enough. So that's that.
I have no other way to go with that. One-star Joe Bob has come at me for one of my vacations and say, no boyfriend ever takes days off to go hang out with the girl's parents. Well, we did a lot of hanging out on our own, exploring the city of Kansas City, but we were staying at her parents' house. Yes.
Hanging out on our own, he says. Interesting. You dog.
Parker, take us out of here. I wasn't even talking about that. Jesus.
The Rush is coming up next, folks. Tyler McComas, Teddy Lehman on tap. Keep it here on the Ref.